7:02.
The Big Interview
With Bongani Bingwa.
18 after 7. So, is Airports Company South Africa, ACSA, the good news story of state-owned enterprises in South Africa? Compared to the likes of Eskom and Transnet, it has long stood tall without the usual laundry list of financial and operational crises. But perhaps rather than giving it a completely clean bill of health, perhaps it's a mixed picture. Excellent financial health, but some considerable operational challenges. So as the current CEO, Mpumi Mpofu, concludes her tenure, the board must look ahead at how to stabilize and modernize the country's airport network. We're joined now by Irvin Phenyane, who is the chairperson of the Airports Company South Africa board. A very good morning to you and welcome to our program. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you? I'm very fine.
I'm very, very well, thank you. As I said in my introduction, in many respects, there is an argument to be made that ACSA has been the good news story of SOEs.
Yes, that is true.
Do you want to give me more details as to how that might be from your point of view?
Oh, yes. I thought you were still continuing with your question. Yes, thank you very much to the listeners. For starters, Airports Company South Africa formed in the ACSA Act of 1993, has up to now been a very stable company, and it has been a good news story in that instead of always going to Pretoria to ask for a bailout or to ask for assistance, ACSA is self-sufficient. ACSA has been returning dividends to the shareholder. We made a profit of 1.1 billion rand recently. But it being a good news story is because of its resilience, if I would ever emphasize that. Fortunately, I was in the board just when COVID hit, and ACSA was highly profitable, around the same amount. ACSA would have gone down if it was not a stable company because of what happened to aviation globally. But ACSA has been able to, globally, most airports and airlines went to very bad numbers. As far as we're concerned, we lost 2.5 billion during COVID, and the following year 1.5 billion, of course, because numbers were bad. But guess what? ACSA recovered because of its resilience, because of leadership that is adaptive, and because of focus, of it being focused and having reserves. We can announce that we just returned to pre-COVID numbers, something many aviation companies have been battling with. Many airlines are still not able to come back.
And
so we have returned recently, to pre-COVID numbers. So the things we're doing now are the things we should have done in 2020 when COVID hit. So you can imagine that if COVID did not hit, we would have been far beyond that. We believe that our profitability should have been that side of 2 billion rand if it was not COVID.
Look, R1 billion is not to be sniffed at, so that's worthy of some congratulations. You've got a strong balance sheet. You talk about consistent profitability. And, of course, the boast that our airports continue to be ranked among the best on the continent.
Yes. If you look at the numbers, it will tell you like that Cairo has high numbers, and we are just within the top 5. But the difference is that we have more than one port of entry. Our numbers, if you combine them, you combine Joburg, OR Tambo, and Cape Town International and King Shaka. If you had put all of those together, who will have been the best? So yes, we are in terms of numbers, we're still up there within the top 5, and we are putting all our efforts to ensure that we exceed those numbers within the next 5 years. Well, and our capacity is not a challenge.
All right, that is the good news. Let's talk now about the areas that can be improved. Supply chain management, for example. The Auditor General continues to flag vulnerabilities on that score.
Oh, yes. So let's also clarify this, that if you look through many state institutions in the last 3 years, there are many issues raised by the Auditor General. And people tend to look at the consistent issues raised from Auditor General, and the truth is that the AG themselves have matured a lot. Traditionally, when there were audits and institutions were dealing with their audits will all score very high. But it is now very difficult to find clean audits because the Auditor General is matured. So we should start from there and say, therefore, we've got a challenge to also strengthen our internal audit so that by the time we go to external audit, we are very strong because it is very tough these days to
I want to support you here, but my difficulty is that you surely aren't arguing that the Auditor General has become better at its job, and that's why your vulnerabilities are being exposed.
No. I'm saying, yes, we have vulnerabilities which we are working on. But I'm just making it as a side note that, of course, I'm serving in other boards as well. We're having the same conversations that we all need to up our ante. Things that we thought were not frowned upon, they're being frowned upon very seriously. And as we ease the board's conversation about cleaning those, we are tough. When I finish this interview, I'm going to meetings with stakeholders over the next 3 days. And we are dealing first with our own staff to deal with issues like that. We have identified, amongst three top priorities that the board has identified, is supply chain management. And the second is to ensure that our service providers are able to pay us. As I said, we are being owed a lot of money also by tenants at our various airports. We are strengthening those. And thirdly, to ensure that our commercial also our commercial activities are strengthened so that we get more cash. So as that stands, it shows that the board is serious. We're meeting stakeholders Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to discuss those hard things. We're calling them. Please tell us all your stones in a shoe. We will tell you our stones in a shoe too. Yes.
One of the things that remains a consistent challenge is baggage handling. I mean, I'm one person, so sample of one, in fact, sample of two, my colleague and I, both in very recent days, have had suitcases opened returning from flights from Cape Town to Johannesburg, and I would suggest to you that we're probably not the only ones. That remains a challenge.
Okay, sure. Baggage handling is always, previously, if you look at previous records, was worse than now. You remember stories of things that happened previously. And ACSA takes this matter serious. If you look at the security that has been put in all the line, throughout the value chain from when you leave the bag until the end, there is a point where bags are handed over to airlines. There are third-party providers who do baggage handling on behalf of ACSA, but we are the airports company. We have to take responsibility. But if you can be fair, is that yes, you lost your bag. I'm sorry about that, but it used to be worse. And where we are now, the concern that we have and the focus we have is that the security throughout the airport be improved. There are incidences here and there that have been in the media, and we are taking that serious. Part of these consultations is to talk tough to stakeholders. Tomorrow, the whole morning we're talking to stakeholders in the security cluster, something that has never happened before, where the board speaks directly to stakeholders and say, we're unhappy about this, you should fix it, and otherwise you'll no longer be able to get this contract. Fortunately, we're going out on tender on this security contracts, and most of the projects we have will be going out on tender in this next 2 years. So we are, because we've got those concerns.
Look, on a broader scale, people would say delayed capital expenditure. In other words, monies that should have been spent on runway expansions, terminal upgrades, those continue to show gaps between your capacity and international competitive standards. Addis Ababa, for example, is starting now to eat our lunch.
Yes. In fact, not just on the airport side, even on the airline side, East Africa started to eat our lunch in the last 5 years. They were not like this 10 years ago. That is our concern.
We were not like this 10 years ago.
We were not like this as a country because certain things happen. But as an airports company, we've been consistent. We are putting 22 billion rand to address that matter, and we can say that we have already spent about 1.5 billion of it. Most of these projects are going out on tender. We will say that 72% of that 22 billion rand is going to refurbishment and maintenance, and 15% of it is going to expansion. And we are the focus not just on OR Tambo only, it's always focus on those three major airports, being Cape Town, OR Tambo, and King Shaka. A new aligned runway planned for Cape Town and a new domestic arrivals terminal. And OR Tambo, we are going out for a new cargo terminal refurbishment. So, the old cargo terminal refurbishment, but there's a midfield cargo terminal that's been put. Those things says we are spending that 22 billion rand in this current permission, but the next permission cycle, which starts 3 years from now, it's the total amount with this what we have now will be 60 billion.
And of course,
so we are not short of money. But what is important is to deal with this duality. At one level, we've got strong financial delivery, right, as you said. At the other one, we do accept that there have been operational headwinds, and those happen due to maturity of the organization. Where we are now, we're focusing at all aspects of the organization being at maturity level 4 to 5. You can be able to deliver all of that. The board has focused on those things.
All right. Irvin Phenyane, I appreciate your time. Chairperson of the Airports Company South Africa, who will, of course, be on the hunt for a new CEO as Mpumi Mpofu exits after 6 years in June. We've just given the cheat sheet, to anybody who comes for that interview. Hey, Irvin?
Yes. They just have to listen to you.
Listen to you, I appreciate your time. Irvin Phenyane, as I say, is the chairperson of the ACSA board.
Current events, developing stories,
Tough questions.
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.